Hello, this is my short presentation about the coronavirus. I'll be answering the following 4 questions about the virus using the given source. So I'll be explaining what the difference between an endemic, an epidemic, and a pandemic is, then how a vaccine is created, leading to how close we are to creating a vaccine for the coronavirus. And then last but certainly not least, I will talk about what we can do while we wait for a vaccine. I will first talk about the difference between an endemic, an epidemic, and a pandemic. Alright, so basically these 3 tell us about when, where, and how many people get infected, which is also how you can tell them apart. So, an endemic is an infection that can happen at any time of the year, but not anywhere. So it's always present, but only in certain areas. This could, for example, be the malaria infection. And an epidemic infection increases and spreads quickly, then peaks, and then decreases again. And like an endemic, an epidemic doesn't happen everywhere. An example for an epidemic could be the flu, which increases fast and always peaks around winter, and then later decreases, but doesn't happen all around the world. And lastly, we have a pandemic infection, which is the worst case scenario. It's like an epidemic with the way the number of infected increases and peaks, but it spreads all around the world pretty much at the same time. And right now, with the coronavirus, the world is going through a pandemic. Okay, so now I want to talk about how vaccines are created. Usually, when a vaccine is being made, they will use the actual virus or a weakened version that isn't as dangerous but looks a lot like the actual virus. And when the vaccine is done, it can be used on people who have not been infected yet, and their immune system will then be able to recognize the virus when or if they get infected. So when a vaccine needs to be made, they use the DNA sequence of the virus or the weakened version, and with that they design the vaccine. When the vaccine has been designed, they then have to put it into manufacture. They do this by taking the DNA medicine and add it to bacteria and incubators. And then next, they purify DNA from the bacteria so that they have a pure product that they can use for testing. And after testing it, it might need improvements or more testing before it's a confirmed working vaccine. And now this leads us to the question, how close are we to creating a vaccine for the coronavirus? And that is a question that can be a bit difficult to answer. I do believe that they will come up with a vaccine in record time, but when exactly is that? Taking into consideration that the first human trial for a vaccine was announced last month, and that there are already many potential vaccines, it's not expected to have a mass product vaccine until the second half of 2021. But then what can we do in the meantime? Well, firstly, it's very important to practice good hygiene by washing your hands as often as possible. It's also important that we stay at home and do social distancing to flatten the curve so that not everybody gets infected at the same time and become too much for the hospitals to handle. Secondly, I think it can be very boring to wait for this to be over with, and I think we can all kind of relate to this picture. So it's also important to practice self-care and stay in contact with friends and family, of course, not physically, but still checking into each other. And well, this was all I had for this video, so thank you very much for your time.